Yes, we are live, just watching the rally with you. The first rally in a long time in Tulsa, Oklahoma, a state. Not a full house, maybe about 2/3 full, but that makes sense. I wonder, did we have some bad people outside?
We had some very bad people outside. They were doing bad things.
Yes, very bad people. He started early with the Sleepy Joe stuff, and why wouldn't he? Do you ever notice that Biden often gets the states wrong?
Do you ever notice that Biden oftentimes gets the state wrong? He's in Iowa, and he says, it's good to be in Idaho. No, you're in Iowa. He's in New Hampshire, and he says, it's great to be in Ohio. No, you're in New Hampshire. That happens to him all the time. Hasn't happened to me yet. You know, when that happens, there's nothing you can do to make up for it. You might as well just walk off the stage because the speech is a disaster.
Then came the storytelling. Trump gave his version, it was a long one, of his visit to West Point a few days ago in the hot sun. What did they say to him before the speech?
They said to me before the speech, sir, would you like to salute each cadet, each single cadet, or maybe they'll be in groups of 2. Would you like to salute like this? Yes. Like this. Almost 600 times. You know what that is? Let me tell you, you do that 600 times, you go home and you say, it's like a workout without a weight, right?
I know that feeling, but it's not from saluting. And after the speech, he's being baked. He's being baked.
I just made a big speech. I sat for other speeches. I'm being baked. I'm being baked like a cake. I said, General, there's no way I can make it down that ramp without falling on my ass, General. I have no railing. Sure. It's true.
It's all about the railing. So there he was walking down those steps. I wonder, what did he then say to the First Lady?
To our great First Lady, I said, let me ask you a question. Was it that good, the speech, that I'm trending #1? Because I felt it was really good. No, they don't even mention the speech. They mentioned the fact that you may have Parkinson's disease.
See, then he talks about the criticism he gets from holding his water glass. His reasoning, simple. He doesn't want to ruin his silk ties. You know, it spills down onto your tie and it doesn't look good for a long time, if ever.
Taking water and it spills down onto your tie. It doesn't look good for a long time. And frankly, the tie is never the same. So I put it up to my lip and then I say, because I don't want it, just in case. And they gave me another disease.
Another disease. That's the line. So we're back to the rallies. Are we so lucky he's president?
You are so lucky I'm president. That's all I can tell you.
Period.
Let's welcome tonight's guest. He loves to cavort on Special Report. Washington Times opinion editor and Fox News contributor Charlie Hurd. Hair's looking good. She's so southern, she sleeps in a biscuit. Fox Business Network anchor Dagan McDowell. She's the master of snark, but she still can't park. It's host of Sincerely Cat on Fox Nation, Cat Timpf. And a Ferris wheel is his hula hoop. My massive sidekick and host of Nuff Said on Fox Nation, Tyrus. All right, Charlie, what did you make of his comeback? How'd it do?
It was, I thought it was fairly sensational. You know, that, if we lived in a sane world, political science professors around the country are tearing up all of their lectures for the past 20 years and rewriting everything. That speech, that story that he told about what happened at West Point was some of the greatest political theater I have ever witnessed in my life. It was absolutely astonishing. You take something that is your greatest weakness, you lead with it. That was the center of the entire rally. You go there, you make it hilarious, and I mean, the guy's like walking off stage, reenacting the entire thing. He's a comedic genius. He knows how to tell a story, and the most important part of telling a story is to make sure you have villains. And he always has a villain, and they're always in the audience, and he always winds up pointing to the press in the back. And and not to mention what he does to Joe Biden, but it's like, I mean, I say this, and I'm sort of kidding, but I'm also kind of serious about it. When this guy is finished in politics, I'm quitting. I'm going to become a sheep farmer. I don't want to cover politics once this guy is gone. It's going to be so boring.
Well, you have the looks of a sheep farmer. He brings up a great point, Dagan. The story isn't just a story. It's about the biggest problem facing our lives today, which is how the media manipulates things and how they start with a nugget of something and turn it into something else. So I think the media is going to laugh that he spent so much time on it, but everybody else is going to get it.
Indeed, that the media, there are a bunch of humorless scolds who have talked for days about Trump supporters not wearing masks and how everyone is going to get sick, but are not equally upset about looting and rioting and vandalism and just all-out chaos in America. I love how he always brings things you can use, like if you get water on silk, it's ruined forever.
Yes.
My personal favorite.
Yes.
My personal favorite was leather bottom shoes, not good for ramps. Steel ramps are like ice skating rinks. You know what? That is your takeaway. He had plenty. People are going to focus on a few things that he said. There was chum in the water for the left-wing lemmings, but instead he's also setting up Joe Biden as a puppet. And who's going to be the puppeteer? All of the people who are causing chaos in Seattle, causing chaos and killing the elderly in New York, and basically shaming and destroying people's livelihoods because of a word that you use. That's what the left will miss.
Yeah, Kat, no matter what happens, the media is going to be able to find one person who got sick. And if anybody passes away, they're just going to call Trump a murderer. Like, you have blood on your hands.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and you notice a lot of those people not wearing masks. You also look at it, though. Everyone there was having so much fun. It was like Republican Bonnaroo, okay? They were so excited to be there. People had been camping. It literally is. And you look at that level of excitement, and you have to say to yourself, of course these people aren't concerned about masks or coronavirus who are there having that much fun. They're so excited. Someone could have warned them, you know what, there's going to be flesh-eating monsters at the door, and the only thing they'd worry about is, where's my MAGA hat? Got to make sure, worth the risk. And that kind of excitement, I don't think can really be understated when it comes to an election, because say what you will about Trump, like him, don't like him, he's a polarizing figure, sure, but the people who like him don't just kind of like him. They really, really, really love him. He's a party. And I don't think anybody feels that way about Biden.
No, not
Probably
at all.
not even Biden.
Trump's the life of the party. Biden is the grim reaper of the party. Shows up and everybody starts leaving. Tyrus, it went for an hour and 45 minutes. What did you make of it? Any high points for you? Low points?
Oh, it was a couple high points. It was a couple high points for me. First of all, President Trump had to work too hard because what's going on, Pence? There was no fun stories from Pence. There was no razzmatazz. Pence could have ruined the whole thing tonight. He was reading bedtime stories. So I'm coming out now. We're live. You can't stop me. We gotta get something in the campaign. We gotta inject a little youth. We need to have Ivanka in. Pence gotta go to get that crowd fired up for him. We need Ivanka as the VP. We need to get a little more razzmatazz going on, because the sour part of this is because we had a smaller crowd tonight, which one would think you would, being there's a pandemic and you could watch him on TV. They're gonna categorize this as a chink in the armor. But I would like to say Pence was in charge of the guest list, Pence was in charge of the seating, and Pence was supposed to be bringing the humor that when you set up, you got to get him going. And President Trump had to work too hard tonight. So Pence out, Ivanka in, let's go.
That's a unique perspective. You know what kills me is the people who say it's the same people who say it's an outrage to pack all of these people during a pandemic, but then started laughing in Twitter that it wasn't packed. So you can't win with them. I always support people who are consistent. If you were concerned about the protests and the rallies, then I'm okay with you. But if you were not concerned about the protests and concerned about the rallies, then you're just an ass, right? You're just a jackass playing political games. And I think that, like, I still worry, and I hope nobody gets sick. And I think that I think a lot, to your point, a lot of people in the risk group probably stayed home and thought wiser, like, I can watch it on TV, which is what exactly what I did, because I'm lazy.